say, oh, we'd have oil money to do everything under the sun. We'd have 10 FPSOs, and we'll get double the amount of money we're getting now. And therefore, we can spend money wildly and just give it to everyone. So, what if oil prices fall, say, next year or this year? What are they going to do? If you base the implementation of all your promises only on oil money. So what happens when it goes? But let's go to a practical example. In 2015, early 2015, oil prices moved from $120 a barrel to about $30 a barrel. And for the entire 2015 or so, it was around that level. So APNU saved nearly $400 million in the fuel import bill at that time because of lower prices. So if oil prices were $100, it went to $80, dropped to $60 now or somewhere there. What if it falls to $30 for 2 years? Plus $30 for 2 years, which is happened before. It's not an unusual thing. You can't even implement the current promises, much less that is APNU's promises, much less build a whole campaign around something that is not certain. So they said, one person on the campaign launch said, we'll give everyone $1 million per year. So if there are 600,000 of us, that will be $600 billion. Now, in the budget now, we have about 512 or 514 billion oil money. So that's more than all the oil money in the budget. That alone. One promise. But they said it on the platform. And some people will repeat it everywhere they go, that we'll do this. You cannot. It's a lie. It's extremely stupid. And it's designed to mislead people. Secondly, they said they will give the public servants 35% immediately. So they couldn't mean 35% for the 5 years if they win. Because when you look at, I'll come to that in a minute, because it would just be too low a figure. I don't think that's what they meant. So I am assuming it's about 35% per year. They're very extravagant with their promises. So 35% per year. So in 2026, our current budget for employment costs is $246 billion. So if you give 35%, in the first year, 2026, it becomes $312 billion. In the second year, 448 because you're compounding. Third year, 605 billion. Fourth year, 817 billion. And by 2030, the end of your term, $1.1 trillion. Only on wages. Now we have half of that we are collecting as oil money. So that means double. You're going to pay in wages alone in the public sector twice as much money than we have in the budget from oil and gas sector, and almost the entire 2025 budget. All of the money we have in the budget will go to wages. Nothing for anything else in the country. Nothing for education, nothing for healthcare, nothing for building roads, bridges, or anything else. It's not just unsustainable. You have to be like in a madhouse, be taken from the madhouse to make like a promise like this. But they actually done this on their campaign trail. So who could believe anything that they say? You know, it is really, really something I can't, as an economist, I can't even like try to think that people will be so, I don't understand, so dishonest, because there's nothing else to describe this by, no other adjective. So that's what we got from the rally. A lot of extravagant promises that are unsustainable. And it seems as though they don't even coordinate with each other. Any person can go on the platform and shout what they're going to offer. We here in the PPP, we make sure we're working on our manifesto now. We work on the notes, that the flyer that will go to every household. And we've had to go through about 10, 15 passes in a centralized way to make sure that what we put on that document is what we will implement. Nobody goes out, there's no maverick here going out and making a promise just like that without clearing it with us here, because we know we have to implement these promises. And therefore, we're going to be generous but smart about managing the resources, and it has to be sustainable. We want long-term prosperity for our people, our children, and our young people. Want long-term prosperity, not like a Venezuela or somewhere else that you have a little spurt, they use up all the money and then disastrous for the next 15 years. We don't want that. So that's why you see this. Then a lot of the controversial, so the usual stuff. So the campaign lacked diversity because they are now getting smaller by the day. People are disgusted by the overt and, I shouldn't say covert, but because maybe just overt sometimes, and almost the quiet racism of the PNC, the whisper campaigns. They are just disgusted by it. They just want the country to move off. They're just like a broken record, but they can't move on from that. So a lot of that came out at the rally, the campaign launch. The old rhetoric about extrajudicial killing, a lot of that again. Misleading people, lying about the PPP's track record, and also where you do have police excesses, and they have under every government police excesses. Under APNU, Nigel Yu said he saw 3 persons, he had an eyewitness who saw the police shot and killed, I think 3 or 4 persons on the seawall. Remember that case? It turned out to be false. He had no eyewitness. But that happened under Granger. These things happen, but there must be accountability too. We have that today. A policeman got 25 years sentenced to 25 years in prison for shooting someone. When the policeman shot at Golden Grove a young guy, he is now charged before the court, and they went on a civil matter, and we agreed to drop the appeal. They were going to appeal the case, and we made sure that the state compensated the family, consistent with the award from the court. We don't condone police excesses, but we don't at the same time wage a campaign against the police, because you have many good policemen and they do hard work and keep our country safe. But so they distort a lot of this stuff. That was, you heard it at the rally again, the racism, extrajudicial killing. They have nothing else to speak about. They're hoping to spark outrage or to mislead young people once again. You remember they used to say they had a thing that we killed, I don't know, 1,200 young black kids. Nigel Hughes was asked brutally, frontally, whether to provide the evidence of it. Could not. He was asked at a press conference. He said, I've been a lawyer for a long time. So he knows, because he's been a lawyer for a long time. Could not provide the evidence of it. When Starbuck News did that story and actually counted the people who died, they had policemen, Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese in the crime period, and it amounted to a fraction of that number that they were calling. The lies that they tell, you saw a healthy dose of that again at the campaign launch. They tried to exploit the Adriana Young matter to boost their faltering campaign. Then, the disparaging of large sections of Guyanese. So, Norton, in his speech, this is what he said. The PPP doesn't support education in Guyana. We don't support high quality education. APNU does, and he will. The fact of the matter is that the budget for education grew from $53 billion to $185 billion in the period we've been in office. We've built over 100 schools, trained up 4,000 teachers. We have increased the teachers' staff complement by 3,000, another 3,000. We're now paying for CXC for families. We made university education free and undergo scholarships and training at other places. These are a record, and he says we don't value education. So he had to, in a very low way, he went after, he said, the PPP is destroying youth of this country. They have turned everyone into beggars. And when they can't get through with you begging, they're mad. That's what he said. Our young people are not beggars anymore. They're out there, they're getting young, they're applying for a house lot, many of them got a scholarship or they're studying. They apply for a house lot. Many of them are getting it. They're getting young professional homes. Many of them are looking to do a second job. They're starting families. This is what's happening in the country. You see them out. You go to the clubs and things. You see the young people out. We don't shut down the country at midnight, a curfew like they did. This is, he said, we've turned young people into beggars. So that's the view of young people that he has. Secondly, you're spending a set of money on goalless. You know what is goal? Some Guyana online academic something. This is what he said. This is the leader of the opposition talking about the people, 39,000 persons in Guyana who are studying under this program. You're spending a set of money on a goalless. You know what's goal? Some Guyana online academic something. That is the view he has. It's the only country in the world I know that can happen in about 2 years. Right? So he's acknowledging the success of the studies, but saying, only country in the world. I'm glad he said it's the only country because we're setting. You get 200 or something people graduate with doctorates. Then some of them are going to end up just like Irfan as patients, saying their degrees are useless. That's what he means here. If you don't have a proper doctorate, you're in the hospital, you're going to be a patient. So this is what he said then. When he moved on from that, run down all of these 39,000 people. You know, I say this to people, I studied in England. I did my master's in England. And you know, one of the things I'm very, very proud of. He did his master's in England. Well, he could have done it in Timbuktu or in any part of the world, in Brazil or India or wherever, I don't care where. But with him, I don't want to talk about his lack of abilities in leadership ability, but he's proud to talk about his masters as though that should impress us, about his masters in England. You're inept, useless leader. You could do a master's in anywhere. You could do it in Harvard and still be useless. Could just pass through an academic program. Nobody wants to associate with you. You're incompetent. And so look at it. So run down 39,000 people in a campaign launch, 39,000 Guyanese who are studying and changing their lives. Even their own MP, Cox, got a gold scholarship. So he said, Cox, you're a waste of time. You're doing a useless degree. Their own MP applied for and got a gold certificate. So this is what a healthy dose of that. Oh, I'm better than everyone else. I studied in England. I have my master's in England. You know, this is just the same sort of elitism that comes from Nigel Hughes and the others. I thought at least being a pig farmer in Linden, he would have had some humility. He would have had some humility to recognize the effort of the young people who are applying for the Gold Scholarship Program and the support they're getting from the government to study. And then when they complete, they're earning more, because if you're a teacher and you finish the Gold Program, you have a degree, you now get a higher salary. You get a master's or a doctorate, you get more. The allowances would go up. He said, because we are causing a lot of Guyanese to be illiterate, the PPP. We're investing all this money in education because we want Guyanese to be illiterate. So this is what he said. When I went to school, we did something called verbal reasoning. When he went to school, we were at a tender age. We began to learn to reason. It doesn't show now, Norton, that you actually learned to reason. And that might have been in the colonial era when you were there in school. But they don't want people who reason. They want robots. So it's a digital school he's talking about here. He doesn't understand the concept. You know, it might be challenging for him because I don't think he is savvy, technology savvy. So when a government is afraid of education, the government that wants domination and control. So he was talking, he said Irfan Ali, he's a real joke. You know them joke when you see them, do not laugh. He's one of them. Here is, he said, we're going to digitalize Ghana. We're going to have a digital school. It's a digital school he's running down. Now, he is claiming, I want to paraphrase, I don't want to waste my time going through, but he's saying the children can't navigate technology or be in a digital school because they need to learn to reason before they learn there. A lot of the kids now, he needs to understand, they can, at a very tender age, they can navigate the digital world better than people like Norton or even myself. Many of these kids, they grow up on that. Their brains are wired differently. And because they have access to technology from a very young age. You can't impose your old colonial kind of training mentality on kids in a digital age. It's a whole new concept. We want that to happen. When we talk about a digital society and a digital schools, these are the kids who we want to be trained in areas that will run that society for us. He just doesn't understand the concept. And technology can be a vast tool now to better deliver not just a curriculum, but to enable children to better reason and comprehend. So reasoning and comprehension has taken a whole new leap in the digital world. You can't fight technology, especially since you're using technology to generate your manifesto. Like they're put in through AI. That's what they're doing. But he doesn't even know that. He probably think his AI is some person's name down the road. Disparaging our children. So he started off with gold scholarship, then he ran to young people, they're beggars now. Now the children, they're wasted time. Don't let them go to use digital tools. Just let them, put them back in a classroom like we had when he was growing up. And this shows a leader out of touch with what's happening in the modern world. So that is what we got at his campaign launch. So that's another thing, out of touch, disparaging large sections of our community. Then, and not just that, it didn't come only from him. It's also Director Finance saying, oh, we are giving people swampy house lots. They didn't give anything. We're giving people swampy house lots. A lot of this started off in swamp. You should go and see Diamond. The first house in Diamond, they like to claim everything. Her first house that was built in Diamond, as president, I went with the army and we built that house. You have a community, it was swampy when we put in the infrastructure. Now we have 5,000 houses there, we have schools, we have a police station, we have hospital now, a modern hospital, we have banks there. That's how it started off. It was swampy at the beginning, yeah. And that is now it evolved into that community there. They don't understand these things. They run down everything. If you fly over, I was talking last week, I flew back from Berbice, and I'm flying over, and the scale of what's happening on the East Coast with the 20,000 house lots, it's unbelievable. That's being prepared now for people who got their allocation. You go down at the back there and you see massive amounts of trucks running and excavators and bulldozers clearing up areas, draining areas from the back there that will now become high-end communities in these areas. I told you one time here, we were at the back of Diamond, that we were pushing down tall trees. It's like a jungle to prepare a new house lot there. They found jaguars there. The jaguars had to run away. A guy asked me if we're not changing the habitat for the animals, but I said we need land for people too. The jaguars can go back a little bit in the jungle. We have 86% of the country covered with forests. But this is what we're doing. We're effectively taking a jungle at the back there, transforming it, and once people start going there and building their homes, they will be 5 minutes from a shopping mall, coming on the Heroes Highway, and 10 minutes from maybe a hospital. But it's a jungle now. Before we see it as a potential to work. This swampy house lots that you were to say, they didn't give anything, but we're giving swampy house lots, running down things. That was their campaign launch. So then a lot of the subliminal, unintended things came out too at their campaign. So things they're discussing privately, but they hope that will not come to the light of day this early. And so when someone said, guys, sugar done, and Norton saying at his press conference, I'm keeping an open mind on legalizing marijuana. That's what he said at the press conference last Friday. You need to connect the two. Obviously, the conversations are taking place. So Norton, when a man said, we plant marijuana now, we're closing down the sugar industry and plant marijuana. And then the leader of the opposition saying, I'm keeping an open mind to this planting of marijuana. But, so two things, is we're discussing it, that planting marijuana, and secondly, sugar done. This is someone on their launch plant. You launch your campaign and someone says that. Sugar done. So all the sugar workers there that they've been lying to again, you know, they're telling Norton, saying at the press, I want to expand in sugar and all of that. That's what you get. You got it in 2015, you're getting it again. Promises, but the subliminal, or not just subliminal, but the quiet discussions that they have in Congress Place and other quarters came out on the platform. They were hoping it would not come out there, but it came out about marijuana and also about the closure of the sugar industry. So these are just some of the things that came. I went through several things. Unsustainable promises, the lack of diversity, the racism, the old campaign tool of extrajudicial killing, the arrogance and disparaging of large sections of the country, including young people, children, and those studying, the outright dismissal of a sector, sugar done. These are all things that came out from the rally. What else? What else from the rally launch? So, if you are an independent person and you had to choose political parties, that's what you're choosing, versus clear, distinct plans for the future that we have laid out in every sector. Job creation, healthcare, education, support for industries, development bank, support for children, elderly, disabled, young people, massive support for young people to create jobs, to assist them with financing, to set up businesses, make sure they get good quality education, they get a house lot, they get assistance to build homes across the country. That is what you get versus what I've just spoken about from APNU and AFC. So, I don't know, Nigel Lewis is around. I saw him playing domino outside of the Umanayana. Now that's becoming like a little farce too. So I saw APNU showed up there with a bus. So we thought the nomination had opened up. So our people went there too. I don't know if you saw the image with Susan and others, Susan Rodriguez, Kwame McCoy, Jason and the others. They went down there because we thought the line started. So we wanted to be there early too as a political party. The last time we were first, but they gave APNU, GCOM gave APNU the #1 slot. It didn't matter then in 2020, and it doesn't matter too much now. So we showed up there, and then we found out from GCOM whether they're allocating numbers now. And GCOM said they didn't take over the site as yet. So right now they're just lining up in front of Charles' ministry there GCOM has not taken possession of that building as yet. So we wrote GCOM, and they responded. And then they said, but we acknowledge your presence there and everything else. So we told our people, leave. Don't go and stand there all the time. So now I saw all of the Nigel went up there to Nigel Hughes and others, they're playing domino. But their fear, you know what's their fear? The reason APNU started so early is that the same people might be signing the backers list for AFC, APNU, and Aman's party. And I don't know if the other lady too, she's still running. One from Bartica, Simona Brooms. So it's the same group of people there. You saw two AFC endorse Norton and jump ship yesterday, some of the councillors there, and they said, oh, we have new diversity. That's part of their team, the two persons from the AFC who went back, skipped from AFC and crawled over to the APNU. And they said, oh, we have great diversity. Two Indo-Guyanese came and endorsed Norton. They're part of the same camp. I think these were AFC councillors over there. So they're just stirring the same pot. So whoever gets the name in first, whichever party gets the name in first, then the other party's list will be deficient if a name repeats itself. So both for the candidates and the backers. So that's why it's such an existential thing for them. For us, we know, I have more, I should show you our candidates list. That's huge. We got to narrow it down. And we have backers like, I choose President Trump's word like crazy. You know, right, like large numbers of backers, huge numbers of backers. And we don't have to worry about that duplication that could make our list deficient. Nevertheless, we went there because we're a competitive party. We like to be in the thick of things. So we went after APNU, and then we saw them watching us, and then I told the people, come away. And then we wrote GCOM. But they are fighting each other because of that very reason. They're worried that their list would be deficient. And so Nigel Hughes, I was talking about Nigel Hughes. I strayed a little bit to that issue. Nigel Hughes now did an interview. AFC is nothing like PPP and PNC. I don't understand what he means by this. These were people who were part of the coalition, who were just busy begging to join back the coalition. There's Nigel Hughes. He's nothing like the PPP or PNC because there might be nothing. And Norton talking about so he's punning on the word, you know, bald, rat, Bharrat. So if I use his word, I'm just thinking about it, Norton, nothing. You know, right? Really, if I should be really saying that, Norton, nothing. If he's saying Bharrat, bald, rat. So I should really, this is a nothing party too. The AFC is nothing, not AFC. AFC is nothing. They should have stopped it like that. If AFC is nothing like PPP or PNC, they should stop it. Just the headline there. This is a waste of time party. That's why people are jumping ship from the AFC, and I don't know if they're going to be able to put up a list, because it seems as though everybody leaving them. They put out a poll, somebody told me yesterday, and they pull it down quickly, who should be our PM candidate, and they put about 10 names. How would a political party go and do a poll, an online poll? That's not even scientific. You know, online poll, one man vote 10 times and stuff like that if he like you. So Patterson will have a couple of people who, like the Bangle gang, would vote 20 times from him, right? That is what will happen. Who does that as a serious party? Which you go on a poll to determine your prime ministerial candidate, an online poll at that. At this stage, imagine we're how many days from nomination? We only have like 3 days more before nomination day. And they're now putting out a poll as to who will be their PM candidate. So this is a nothing party. So he said, with respect to the People's Progressive Party, you said it has not set out a 10 to 15 years plan. So we didn't set out a 10 to 15 years plan. I just spent a ton of time last week and the week before and many, many weeks speaking about the national development strategy, the competitiveness strategy, the poverty reduction strategy, the low carbon development strategy. I even, when Patterson took credit for the bypass, you know, I had to just a couple weeks ago show that that was, the route was already mapped in 2003. We had the route settled, Ogle to Eccles, Mandela, all the way up. We had in the document in 1996 that I handed over to Dr. Jagan when I was Minister of Finance, that we talk about a high-span bridge across the Demerara River, high-span bridge across the Berbice River, paving the Linden-Sioux Dike Highway, repaving it, we building out the road to Lethem, and paving the stretch between Linden to Mabura Hill. It's in the LCDS. We like to take credit for that too. It's a lot of those things are there, 20 years, and I explained why we couldn't get them implemented because of the lack of money, the country being insolvent, left insolvent by APNU. So he says we haven't laid out no 10 to 15 year plan. What have they laid out? He got a girl named Nakisha Sinclair writing their manifesto for them and doesn't even want to pay the girl. That's what you see, the big controversy all the time. Some big fight between the girl and him saying, you stole my ideas. I wrote the stuff for you. And he goes to, I don't know, it might have been in an interview, and says this about us. So I'm not gonna waste my time with Nigel Hughes. And then I think because their campaign is so weak, they are looking for help from everywhere, including from the Mohammeds. We've seen earlier the collaboration between APNU and AFC and the Mohammeds. Their sole objective is to bring the PPP under 50% in the parliament. They know they can't win the presidency, so that's what they're working towards, like what we had in 2011 with the subsequent disastrous consequences for the country. So it's not going to happen, but they believe that Mohammed can help them to achieve that. So that's why there is some behind-the-scenes collaboration, well, a lot of behind-the-scenes collaboration, and the lack of, you notice, APNU doesn't say anything adverse about the Mohammeds or the AFC. If you look at all of the activists who are part of the Mohammeds camp, who are organizing for him in every region, it's either PNC, former PNC, or AFC members. So that's the collaboration there, and I think they do so with the tacit approval of the leadership in Georgetown. But I predict that they're going to soon start criticizing. APNU will criticize because they've seen now that the Mohammeds are going to make no difference in the PPP support base. They'll make no difference whatsoever. And it may work against them. The same APNU and AFC who've been collaborating with him. So that's why I saw Nigel Yu saying favorable things. These are the man who said when he met with the Mohammeds, he said he needed Raphael Trotman in the meeting to advise him politically, but they came to consult with him on a legal matter. Well, we know bullshit when we see it or hear it, and that's nonsense. We know that. So they've been working together, with that hope. And that's why you see they don't say anything about him, and even Christopher Ram and all of the others are writing in favor of him. Just imagine, a couple of years ago they were saying this man was being defended by the PPP. He's a crook. Rickford Burke read out the whole thing about drug dealing and mafia, Russian mafia, laundering money for the Russian mafia and gold smuggling and everything else. And then they switched to supporting. So that's it. We know the game there. So I wasn't surprised when I saw Nigel Hughes again defending the Mohammed, or Christopher Ram writing a letter. And I wonder who Christopher Ram filed the case. I wonder on whose behalf he filed the case. You should check that. Some in court. So we a number of people have been calling. There are a couple of things that I've spoken about the Mohammeds and the free pass that they get from the media, including so I see all sorts of analysis being done now. But just imagine, so this party has launched without a press conference, without us knowing their policies or being able to question the leader of the party on their policies or anything else on his track record. It's been launched without that. It will go nomination day to put in a list, and I'm sure that they would hide him again. Odessa Primus and the others will surround him, and he will not have to give a proper interview again. They'll go to the elections without him saying anything to the media, and that's fine with some sections of the media. Even gets a free pass in bullying people. So they went to they have this way of, what upset me a lot was the Berbice River incident. When it's disparaging for the people who live in these communities and the Tushao. So the village had a day of sport, which a number of people were there, invited there from various parts of the region and elsewhere, a large gathering for their day of sport. So people are free to go to the day of sport. I think Tushao made it clear. And they showed up with about 10 people, took out their flags and started waving it in the people's face, run through the community, taking pictures as though the whole gathering there is for them. They do that very cleverly. They go and they bomb people's pictures and stuff like that, crowds. So the Tushao objected. The Tushao said, you know, here, I didn't give you permission for a political event. You can come to the sport, but not a political event. They tried to bully the Tushao in his own village. And you know the law is quite clear on that. You have to get permission to go to the villages. And try to bully him with thugs that they walk around with. You saw how they tried to bully, including Odessa Primus, tried to bully the journalists from Trinidad. That's what they did. And They refused to comply. And then you had this altercation and the Tushaw got involved in it. This is something that is typical, the bullyism. Look at the same thing happened in Region 5. They walk around and went into a man's building to hold a meeting. And the guy said, I didn't give you permission to come into my building to hold no meeting. And the man supports the PPP. When he asked them to leave, Mohammed has this plastic smile on his face, the usual stuff. And the thugs try to bully the guy again. That is what they do, the thuggish behavior. And they're not going to make much impact, but they're just good at playing the victim. So they posted this image where the Tushaw, when they're pushing this stuff in their face, just grabbed it and threw it on the ground, the flag. They posted that to get sympathy. Look, oh, this man is pro-PPP. I don't even know if the Tushaw he's not card bearer member of the party. But they were just bullying him in his own community. And not a word from all of these NGOs that would, you just try to get someone go into these communities on an even innocent pretext to do research, and they don't have the permission. They would just jump up and say, oh, the government allowing people to go into these communities, etc. Not a word from them of condemnation of the bullyism. So that is what's going on. And a lot of people have been coming in to me. They're like from Berbice. And I want to say to them, those who've been coming to me to ask, they've been offered money to go on the Mohammed's list. And it's up to them to decide if they want to, because they want the money, but they don't want the consequences. So if Ramaya gives up his citizenship to go on the list, because you can't be a dual citizen, to be on the list. That happened with the Charandas era when they said Charandas' vote was not valid, although they put him in parliament. When after the no confidence motion, APNU pursued that case. Before that, we turned a blind eye to dual citizens in the parliament. And then APNU took it to court, and the court ruled you can't be a dual citizen and be on the list. So GCOM has put this out, warned political parties, you run the risk of facing consequences, disqualification, etc., if you have dual citizens on your list. So I want to let Ramaya and the others out there and Harbhajan who are walking around with lists, let them either give up their dual citizenship or put their names on the list. And because they're putting other people on risk. And I gather some of the family members, the Mohammed family members are dual citizens. Let them give up their U.S. citizenship too, to be on the list. Then you would know if they're really committed. But I suspect they're not going to do that. They want to put other people at risk, and they will be at risk. They want to put other people at risk, safeguarding themselves, put them in misery. So this is something a number of people have been coming to me. I say to people, you decide on your own. If you're going to put your family, you and your family at risk, that's your own decision. Don't come to me afterwards and say you're misled. PPP has nothing to do with it. When you and your families have faced the consequences. So I want to talk a bit more about Sunday. Sunday is our launch at Kitty. We're launching our campaign on Sunday. And I saw already their fear-mongering. Sherrod Duncan is scared, I think he has second thoughts now about joining APNU after the disastrous launch they had. So he's fully panicked. I think they jumped ship to get a seat in Parliament, but I think that looks a bit tenuous now. So he's already saying, oh, we are bullying people to go, part-time workers to go, we're bullying contractors to go to our rally. If you come there, you'd see happy people. You're not going to see sour people. Actually, I mustn't say that people are sour who went to their rally, because I saw some nice-looking people, elderly mainly, who were at their campaign launch, and they were very positive about the PP government when doing interviews. You know, they were doing interviews and people are saying, oh, really? What's wrong in your community? What would you change? We don't want to change anything. Things are going well here and stuff like that. But we support the APNU. You know, I can understand the loyalty. I can understand it. You have to come, you know, many people are born, like, have an emotional attachment. Not the young people so much, because they can't afford an emotional attachment, because the emotional attachment may lead to disaster in your personal life. You got to be very sensible, not the emotional so much, use your head, the brain in making decisions, because that's what would lead you to a prosperous life. So you're going to see happy people here. You're not going to see people forced to come there, because our message would be positive. Our message is positive. We're working for all Guyana. We're bringing people together across race. Everyone is included. Housewives, as young people, the people living with disability, or children, the miners, everybody, the rice farmers, the sugar workers, every group, public servants or joint services, they can look to our plan and see things for themselves, either directly or part of the things that affect society. They would all see themselves in our plans. And every region is included. Every region, all 10 regions of our country, they're included in our development plan. So that's what, we have things to talk about. We can talk about what we did, the positive things, and there are lots to talk about. Yesterday I had a meeting with our speakers, the third speakers at our political meeting. And we gave them a huge package of material like this, every one of the speakers. And we said, don't read this out at the meetings, because it will take like hours and hours to read out. These are all the achievements in every sector. Because if you do that, people they come to the meeting, the village meetings and stuff like that, because they like you. But now it's a different era. People on social media a lot, they don't have that long attention span. So focus on the key things. But we had a stack of like research material to give to them, to our speakers. I can't imagine APNU having anything there might be a one-pager, and it would say extrajudicial killing, racism, blame the PPP for everything. That's it. Because what else? Deny Reagan elections. Those are their speaking points. I can't imagine them talking about anything major, and tell as many lies as possible. That's their speaker's notes. So our launch will be different. We're talking about changing this country for all of our people. That's what. That positive. And we want people. We're not bullying people to come. We want them to come. I hope they'll come to their launch. It is going to be a short campaign, and we will focus heavily on this. If you look at the energy, I've rarely seen this sort of energy in a campaign. And I've been around for a while. So when we have to put up flags, now I see a ton of people volunteer show up here. And it's happening all across the country. We don't need to pay people to put up our flags. They're coming, they say, can we help? These are in Georgetown, the Georgetown group alone, or the support in Georgetown alone, can manage all the affairs. In the past, we wouldn't have many people from South to put up our flags, etc. So we don't need to send people from the Central and South anymore to put up our flags, because we have groups, party groups, and supporters in these areas who will go and put up their flags or do something of that nature. We've done this. So that energy, I've met with people just walk off the street. It's happening. The farmers come. I met a group from King Grove that came here, and they said, oh, we have some issues. We still have some problems in the areas with drainage and some roads, but farm to market roads, but that cannot wait after we win. That is their attitude, because they know if we don't win the elections, the farm to market roads will not be done, or the drainage and irrigation, because APNU cut that out in their last budget. They know instinctively. The rice farmers, the sugar workers know now they wouldn't have a job. The rice farmers know they're not going to get any help. The miners know they're going to get taxes again. We're trying to re-employ the bauxite workers. We're going to work at trying to reopen bauxite operations in Berbice River. So they know that. So they come here all the time. People of every race. People come from Region 1 and say, I'm going back. Would you like me to take in any material? They're excited about the campaign. I had a young Afro-Guyanese guy came a couple of weeks ago, and on Thursdays, a lot of people are here at Freedom House after the press conference to see me. And please don't come in the next 2 weeks, and for 6 weeks I'll be busy. But a lot of people come. And so he came upstairs and he said to me, I thought he had a problem, so I said, how can I help? And he said, I returned to Guyana 4 years ago. I migrated and returned. I have a business, not contracting, and I'm doing extremely well. And he said, how can I help in the campaign? Another young guy, he is from Diamond area. He is a chartered accountant. And he said, he came upstairs and said, how can I contribute? There's just all the time I get that, the traffic into Freedom House, from people who want to be part of it. And it's happening with every race. Our traditional supporters, Indo-Guyanese, are stepping up. They're working, and in the Amerindian communities, don't worry with the few people who go to the Mohammed meeting or APNU meetings, etc. And a lot of the people who are joining or going to his meetings are people who hate the PPP in these communities, because we never got 100% vote. They're just drifting maybe to him a bit. Our support is intact in a lot of these communities, and they are enthusiastic. The young Amerindian kids, the older folks, because they've seen the changes. And in the Afro-Guyanese community, we have a lot of groups everywhere. Norton went to Melanie. No, people don't even want to pay too much attention to him, because they've not seen them over the years. Here, Nigel Hughes or anyone. We've been there several times at every level. And they come off the road, and people of mixed descent, everyone, because we have a unifying campaign. That's what we are about. And so we're looking forward to the launch. We're looking forward to carrying our list on Monday. And we're looking forward to winning the elections and then resuming work the day after the elections, because we have not stopped working from the first day we took office. We have not stopped. If you go back and look at the images, from the first day we took office, August 2nd, 2020, we've been on the road all the time, every single day, high energy, pushing, transforming communities, getting things done, etc. We still have a lot more to do, and that's what you can expect from us. high energy movement forward and not lazy, not getting into power and then believing that you've arrived. We've been on the ground every single day. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, Doc.
Good afternoon.
Wendell Jeffrey, Channel 2 Headline News. In America, they speak of the October surprise. Election day is November.
Yeah, sure.
Is there going to be an August surprise? I'm speaking in light of the fact that both you and the President, Dr. Irfan Ali, seem to have agreed with America that you have enough information to support the sanctions that were made against Mr. Mohammed. Are you going to take that information and use it to bring a case formally against Mr. Mohammed before the elections? And if so, do you think that that would be perceived as election interference?
So we don't have to agree with the United States of America on the information they have. The information of the criminality of the Mohammeds that they have exists independent of what we think or whether we agree with it or not. The United States ambassador to Guyana said, we have a mountain load of evidence to support the sanctions, the OFAC sanctions, when those were announced against the Mohammeds. So whether we agree with whether the evidence or not, they have it there. That's the first thing. It is not the People's Progressive Party that accused the Mohammeds of gold smuggling, drug trafficking from Colombia, and laundering money for the Russian mafia. It was the Reuters that did so. They said they are aware that the United States government, several agencies in the US government, are investigating them for these offenses. That's Reuters. I pointed out that Reuters is a credible organization. Reuters said that the Treasury may be looking to sanction them. That was 1 year before the sanctions were instituted against the Mohammeds. It came to pass. Reuters was right. And so these things exist independent of us. The vehicle that the Mohammeds, the Lamborghini, many of us in government did not know how much he paid for Lamborghini in taxes, because I don't check who is paying taxes on a daily basis or not. And that is the job of the GRA. The Mohammeds posted the receipt of how much he paid online when responding to someone saying he paid 90-something million for 3 vehicles in taxes. He posted his GRA receipt. 2 days later, GRA said, well, the information was you signed to a document saying that was an interim assessment, and we have the right to come back and reassess if new information comes to light. The invoice he supplied was false, a fake invoice. They wrote the US government, and the US government investigated, and the Department of Treasury supplied them with the accurate invoice. supplied GRA through the Ministry of Home Affairs with the accurate invoice that showed it was nearly 10 times more that he paid for the vehicle than he declared, and thereby evading a lot of taxes. GRA filed a charge for false declaration against him when he refused to pay. They gave him an option to pay the additional taxes. He refused to pay it. No persecution so far. The fact is that he has been coming after the PPP. We defend our record. So we will defend our record, but we're not persecuting him. He likes to claim that. He goes and lies around the country that the PPP sanctioned him. We didn't sanction him. The US did. But we're obligated once he is sanctioned. This is a serious, serious business. Very few people in the world are sanctioned by the US Treasury. The more common form of sanction is the visa withdrawal. But when you get sanctioned by the Treasury, you can't do business with US entities anywhere in the world. If you're local and you do business with the Mohammed, you're subjected, or you could be subjected to a law enforcement action or be sanctioned yourself. The OFAC statement says this. Not the PPP saying that. That's the standard procedure of OFAC. The several people who've been associated with him have also received the sanction already quietly. You know how many are quiet? They're embarrassed to say they've lost their visas because of association with him. A lot of them, and their families too. Because not just you, it's your entire family. So, we didn't do that. We didn't know Primus's visa would be taken away. She waved it around saying, I still have my visa. She went up to the US. They took it away. She came back and lied, saying she went up there to give it up. You know, like she traveled to New York to give it up. You know, I just gave it up. You could have done it in the embassy. She had to go up there. That sort of thing. So my point is that, and I think Dennis asked me last week about whether the investigations must, in FIU, GRA, the police, that should continue their work in collaboration with the US government. They have conversations, they share information. But me, I don't want to get involved in that because he is now a political opponent. So they have to continue their investigations, but we will not, I'm not going to ask for info about him because he's a political opponent.
People for nominations. I'm wondering, of that stack, what surprises we can expect at that rally launch on Sunday.
We are not looking to surprise the country on Monday. We're not dealing with optics, politics. So when they picked their prime ministerial candidate for the APNU, I saw them saying, oh, it's diversity. Your entire campaign is about it's racism and exclusion. And you think by picking just an individual who was part of the past government, who was the prime minister at that time, secretary or assistant, that director of finance, who helped to preside over the most destructive period in terms of Amerindian disenfranchisement from development. And I don't want to list all the things that happened because we know what happened in the 5 years. You think by just putting a face there, you can fool Amerindians. And So we're not into that. We're looking to deliver on a program. So if we had competent people and who can run sectors or are there, we will put them back. We're not looking to juggle people around too much for the optics of it. We have a combination of young people and people who have been there with experience, because you need that. And we are determined at every level in the party, not just on the list, because people tend to look at the national list, but you also have the regional list, we have the local government elections, and then in our party structures, we grow the young people all the time. So you're going to see young people on the list, quite a few of young people on the list, but we're not looking for the optics politics. You'd find that the list would look like Guyana, people of every race. You'd find a lot of that. And that's not because we're trying to make a point about diversity. It is done in an organic way because these are our supporters and people who support us or share our vision. So we're not doing it for the show of it. These are people who are actually members. This is a composition of our party and our wider circles. They're diverse, so it's easy for us to pick people, a diverse list, because our base is so broad and it reaches into every community.
You had a one-seat majority. Obviously, you're looking to do way better at these elections.
Yes.
I'm wondering if there is, I know you've talked about your plans, but is there one particular message that Sunday you hope would stick with voters?
You're going to have lots of messages, but they'll all be about progress, prosperity, our people growing, that would be the message. Our country, patriotism, love for country is vital. Those are the kinds of things, positive things, So multiple messages, but all reinforcing the love for this country, working towards progress, bringing all of our people together. That is what our campaign is about. All at Guyana making progress. We still have a lot of things to do. There's several people who have not had all the benefits. I see some people say, "Oh, we still have poor people," and the answer is yes. The answer is yes. We can't get rich in 5 years because of oil, and oil is only 37% of the budget. You can't do that, but we will make sure that they're not excluded, that those people who live now in poor circumstances, they get their help through jobs and better housing and that more benefits, direct benefits, and we get their children supported, all of that for them, wherever they live in this country. So that's what our message is about, not a single thing. If you had to say that, it's about, for me, it's now a stage where it's just love of country and bringing our people together would be the most important thing in our campaign. Because if we do that, we have the energy of the entire country behind us to achieve the things that we want for Guyana and all of our people. That's what we're hoping to get, the energy behind all the plans so they can easily be implemented. Yes, you done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Dr. Jagdeo. Mikhail Rodriguez for Daybreak News. I know you have tried to walk a narrow line since the Mohammeds who are sanctioned have become political opponents. But don't you think it is an obligation of the government to warn and go above and beyond and warning Guyanese about the effects? I was just looking at a document, I made an application around July. I received a communique from GBTI Bank about their inability to give me an account. I'll be posting it in a few moments. And when I look back, I realize it's June of last year that the Mohammeds were sanctioned. And one of the things I thought would have been advantageous to me getting an account at Republic GBTI Bank is showing them the contract I had with the Mohammeds. Now looking back at it, even a bank account you're going to lose. Don't you think the government should be doing more in educating its people? People have the right to vote who they want to vote for. Yeah. But in light of the people, some people who are uneducated might be walking directly into danger or discomfort. Don't you think the government needs to do more to educate the people of the dangers of association with the Mohammed, outside of their being your opponents?
Well, in society, it's not just when you have a free media. The media should do this. But in this country, the media is so aligned that they will cover up all the risk of association. So you're not going to see News Source or any of those focus on this. Even Starbuck News now have downplayed the risk of association and what it can cause the country. No, their only focus has been, oh, did the PPP ask their lobby firm to go after the Mohammeds? And I made that clear last week. I answered that question. But they have not explored about his election, election of a sanctioned individual, and how that affects support from the U.S. for our sovereignty and territorial integrity. They wouldn't explore that because that is a very important issue for us. But if you do that, then they're worried that it may thwart the master plan that I spoke of earlier. That is the association of all the parties together, working together with the hope that the PPP will come on the 50% in the parliament, APNU, AFC, and the Mohammeds. So they will ignore the threat to the banking system. They make it seem like, oh, we are, so the Mohammeds did that first. Look how this big bad government took away our license to Cambio license. Look how this big bad government made it sure that we can't, the vessels can't sail, etc. anymore. The boats that they own can't transport stuff, etc. They have never explored the newspaper as if we had not done that, where this country would have been today. Because by now, I think none of you who sit here or any other people in their homes would have been able to use your credit card or your debit card. Any of you who have a Visa or MasterCard or American Express, I don't know if it's issued here, but would not have been able to use it. Might not have been able to make online purchases because the correspondent banking relationship with US banks would have been severed. All the banks immediately after they were sanctioned. This is a Treasury sanction. They make it look like, it's nothing, it's a walk in the park. The US just sanctioned us. This is a Treasury sanction. It says you have to cut ties. Every bank in Guyana immediately stopped doing business with the Mohammeds. Because if they had continued to do that, then they would be sanctioned. They would lose their correspondent banking relations with the US, effectively shuttering these banks. So they're making light of this issue. But that's a serious matter. Could have affected every single Guyanese in the country. The Mohammeds don't have a bank account. They can't own a bank account. So the money they collect now, they probably have it everywhere spending it a little bit on flags and other things, but that's it. They can't have a bank account. And you could not have a bank account too. Like, you might be finding out, critic, I didn't know you were subjected to maybe the FIU and the other restrictions now, because we're not putting this country at risk and all of our people at risk because the Mohammeds want to get out of the responsibility for criminal acts. We're not going to do that. And they're upset with us that we're not doing that. So we're not going to do that. If you think we're going to put every Guyanese at risk because of this, no. The answer is no. That's not how the PPP rolls. So that's it.
Thank you, Doc.
Yes, go on.
Doc, I was at the concert that they had the other night.
Okay.
And while I was at the concert, I was told that Mr. Saiku Andrews was pulled.
Who?
Saiku Andrews, the performer. Saiku, you don't know him. Anyhow, he's a gospel singer.
Okay, all right. He was
And
pulled where?
I was told that he was not allowed to perform because of his association. I'm telling you what's happening.
Who told you that?
Okay. But I asked Mr.
No,
No, hear me,
okay,
Doc.
go on.
And I was going to ask you today if you knew anything about that.
I don't even know the person.
I know you don't. But now you're saying that you don't.
I don't even know the person, yeah. So,
But
so that's what people ask me. So, like, I got a text message from someone. She was former AFC and said, why aren't the security guards at Nari not being paid? So I text her back and said, how would I know this? Are you telling me that they're not being paid? So rather than asking me why they're not being paid, I can find out if they're not being paid. And I didn't even know whether it's Nari hiring the people directly or a private company supplying the services to Nari, a security guard. So when a question like that comes up, like in this case, I can only say to you, I don't know. I didn't know the gentleman, and I don't know. I can't give you a response because you're asking me something that I don't know about. I will find out why and get back to you, Wendell.
That to me, the concert was a very significant concert.
Yeah, but I can't editorialize. You understand, Wendell? I would not be able, because that's giving you a commentary. If that's right and there is no valid reason, I would say to you, that's wrong. But as of now, I don't know, right? So I can't say to you, should have or should not have been performed. I don't know why. I don't know who the person is, and I don't know why. I'll undertake to find out. Everything beyond this point is speculation and editorializing.
I don't want to editorialize.
And making a statement, right?
I don't want to editorialize. I want to tell you.
It is an important concert, and let me state this. It's an important concert. It is wonderful that our people got together there in such large numbers and had a chance to rejoice, give praise. And there should have been no reason why any performer, because of whom they choose to associate with, should have been pulled, if that was the case. So let me make it clear, you have my position on the matter now, because we support the concert, we wanted people to sing.
Say that I asked Mr. Andrews, and he wrote back to tell me that the reason he didn't perform had nothing to do with the government or his association with APNU. It was a personal decision that I made prior to my acceptance of being on the APNU
got the
list.
answer.
No, the reason I'm saying this is because the word out there is
I
that
didn't know that.
he
Thank
was
you.
pulled
Well, can you read
because-
it back for me, please, so I
Yes.
can hear it loud, you know?
He said
Can we focus the camera on this? Yeah.
This is directly from Mr. Saiku Andrews. He said, my performance had nothing to do, my not performing had nothing to do with the government or my decision to be an APNU candidate. It was a personal decision I made prior to my acceptance of being on the APNU list, and I communicated it with the organizers. And I'm glad that I'm at the press conference, because I came to this press conference with one of the questions I was going to ask is, why was Mr. Andrews, who is a professional gospel singer in this country, why was he excluded? I was going to ask you that, because I thought that
and you did ask me that.
Right.
You did ask me that, and you had the answer all the time. The man said it's a personal decision not to perform, nothing to do with government. Thank you very much for clarifying that, because this is how rumors are started, and it's done sometimes deliberately to put the government in a bad light. That is it. But we would not have done that. We supported the consort. We are happy. When they posted in the cabinet group, the PM was there and stuff like that, and the images, the president was in Jamaica, everybody was happy about the turnout. It was a massive, massive turnout. We had something like that when I was president that was time in the ground itself. It was a massive one, and all the stands were filled. This is the country that is God-fearing country, and it's lovely to see the big turnout.
Jagdeo, over the years, after the PPP, while the PPP was in power during election time and after elections, the PPP has gone to great lengths to garner support or show themselves in a favorable manner and inviting people from opposition, AFC people, PNC people. You know, some people come over recently that have been accused of being wife beaters. PPP still accept them. How is the PPP going to deal with people who come Monday, accept and agree to be a part of a criminal entity, T. Mohammed's? How are the PPP going to deal with those people when they come back into power?
Well, clearly, I made it clear, nobody is coming to us to when they get into trouble with the US, etc., to say I didn't know. They're not going to come to us. And if they're associated and in a criminal manner with the Mohammeds, they too have to face the consequences. People have to face accountability. And so that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Trina Williams, Guyana Chronicle. There's a document in circulation showing that Anug's Mark DeFrance perpetrated a serious act of fraud in the medical field. Do you care to share your views on this?
Anug Mark France and his act of forgery. So, you know my view on this guy. He is a nuisance. I don't know if there is still an Anug, because when you have 5 or 10 members and 7 or 8 leave, can you still call yourself a political party or an individual? And now that the document, I saw it circulated, now that that document has surfaced, I think he needs to give more answers than the cover-up that he has been engaged in. So he makes light of the issue. I saw an interview with the Starbuck News where he made light of the issue again and say, oh, it's being dealt with already. That doesn't diminish the seriousness of the act. Because if you have to get a certificate, you have institutional registration, and to achieve full registration, you have to go through a rotation. That is mean practice, and the doctors, your supervisors, have to assess your competency in each area. If you don't complete the rotation, you're putting at risk the patients who will come to see you. And so from what I've seen, he forged the signatures for the doctors, the supervisors in general surgery and internal medicine. Two very important areas. So just imagine had he succeeded with the forgery and had gone on to practice, had he not been caught doing that forgery, he would have been practicing, doing surgery on you or your relatives without having the requisite practice and skills, or prescribing medicine to you that if you do internal medicine that may not be appropriate. This is a serious matter. He's making light of it. It's a serious matter as far as I'm concerned. And so I think he needs to answer much more. He needs to give the media answers. But he will be hiding just like the Mohammeds do. They would be hiding from, that's why they don't want to face the press. Azruddin Mohammed would never face the press. You know, he says, I ramble at my press conference for hours. That's the usual Apnu and Glenn criticism for me. So why don't you come and be coherent for just 20 minutes? If I ramble for 3 hours, just to be coherent for 20 minutes and answer some key questions. They would not do it because they have nothing to say. So I'm hoping that these matters are pursued aggressively by the media, because people, when they enter into public life, it's a different matter. When you have a private life, that's very different than when you enter into politics or public life. Your life is open to scrutiny, and your actions, your past actions too. Thank you. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do, I'm going to WhatsApp to some people. I'm going to share it with somebody here, Jason or Kwame, and you get all the images from the July 21st, 2021 about the Enmore Polyclinic. I hope you put them up, some of them. Oh, you want to just share with her the microphone, please? Yes.
Do you have, Radhamotilal NCN. Are you privy to the country's half-year economic performance? Can share with us at this time?
No, I've not seen it as yet. I probably have to review it soon. Yeah, but right now the big focus for the next 6 weeks would be on the elections. There's 6 weeks. Thank you.